Hello, my name is Smart. I also go by Sam or First Time Panner. Any of those you want to call me, you can. This will be an impromptu pan that palette or pan those palettes update. I wasn't expecting to film anything today, or I was, and then my plans changed, but then they changed again today. So yeah, I'm filming my pan those palettes update. This is very, very early. This is only I think less than 2 weeks since I posted my last one, but I already have an update for you, so I thought I may as well because I don't have anywhere to be, but I still did my makeup, so I was like, I need to do something with this look because I like it. It's not anything that we talked about in this video, but it is my Project Level Up Light palette. But moving on from that, the first one that I'll talk about is my e.l.f. Rose Gold Nude palette. And I don't have any like major updates on this, but the thing that I have been using in this palette since last update mostly is this shade right here, which is the actual rose gold shade in this palette. And I don't know if you can tell, but I've been using it on this side of the pan, just like as a one and done shade, and it's happened maybe 2 or 3 times this past or since last update, where I have had like 15 minutes to do a full face. So instead of doing like actual eyeshadow, I just like use this all over my eye, and that's worked out great because not only does it save me time, it gets me use on the shade, which I really do like this shade, but just when I have the time, I always choose to do like a full 3 or 4 shade eyeshadow look. So it kind of like gives me an excuse to use more of these one and dones. However, I do get less use on my other makeup products, so it's kind of just like, I don't know. And I think I did use this one once this past month. These are like the same type of finish. They're kind of like satins more than shimmers or more than like metallics, because they're very, very low impact, but they do give that like, they do give a bit of a glow on the eye, so I just call that satin. And these are the same type of finish, so I did use this once, and then I have used this a few times. This is just like, I use it as a lid setting shade, or like a shade to kind of just set my transition area if I'm gonna use something that might be hard to blend like directly on top of my eyeshadow primer. But that's all for this palette. Then I have my Pat McGrath Labs Eye Ecstasy Sublime just 5 pan eyeshadow palette. Not much of use in this one either. Again, I did use this one maybe once or twice as a one and done. I've just been doing that unfortunately many times this past month. And then I also did, I don't know why I'm using this hand to point to it, I've used this one once since last update. It's kind of just a very slow and steady shade for me because I always pair it with the shade that's housed in my face palette, so you will end up seeing that later anyway. But every time I use that shade, I use this one. But other than that, I don't really use this shade at all because it's way too impactful for me to be like a one and done. Like, it's very, very punchy and very like icy on me, so I wouldn't use it on its own. And that shade that I pair this with is the only shade I have that like even remotely goes with this eyeshadow, so I am thinking of replacing it in the future. But yeah, for now that's what I'm working with. So I've only used that once. I didn't use any of the other 3 shades in that palette since last update. And then in the final eyeshadow palette in this project is the one that I have the update on. It's my ABH Norvina eyeshadow palette, and I hit another pan. So it's in this shade Rose Gold here, which is not actually a rose gold, it's just like a mauvey pink. But I actually have a pretty good pan. I think it took me like 2 uses since last update to hit pan, and then I used it one more time after just to or maybe it like only took me one, I honestly can't remember, but then I used it one time after, just to expand the pan. So I have like, I would say a decent, it's not a pinprick pan, so I'd say I have a decent sized pan in that shade, and I love it so much. Oh, you know what, that actually does remind me, I might have paired it with a few shades in this palette as well, because the rose gold shade does go really well with shades in here. I can't remember whether or not I did that, but I know for sure I was pairing it as well with the shade Passion here, which is the first time I've used that shade all year. Actually, I think it's the first time I've used that shade since I rolled this in at the beginning of 2025. Like, I really did not use the shade, and it actually, I keep saying actually, please use another word. But I don't know if you remember, in my, what was it, my 2026 makeup inventory, I mentioned that I had to kind of like sanitize this palette a few times in a short span of time, because one, my cat stepped on it, and then two, I like spilled a tiny bit, like drops of coffee on this palette. So I sanitized it, I think twice I think it was within a few days. And I really think that it messed with some of the shades, because now even my mattes are getting just like this hard pan on them. And for me, that usually, at least for eyeshadows, that usually only happens with like shimmers and metallics. But these two shades, Eccentric and Passion, that definitely happened. I think it's starting to happen to Volatile as well, and Wild Child, but definitely these two, Eccentric and Passion, it's happening to the worst. So I kind of had to like really dig in there to get any product, but I think the shade is so beautiful, especially paired with rose gold. Like, it makes the most beautiful like mauvey, pinky, purpley look on my eyes. It's so pretty. I honestly probably would continue to do that look. Once I've hit a few more pans, I'll probably like circle back and start using the other shades that I already hit pan on again. And that's definitely a look that I will repeat, especially because it goes so well with a few of my tops. But yeah, I'm so happy to have another pan in this palette. I just realized that the last few months, I've been saying that I was gonna refill this pan of just like setting powder that's in the spot where Celestial was. I'm going to do that right after I film this, because I don't want to keep being a liar. So I will post on the screen what it looks like after I have repressed more powder into that pan. And sorry if you just heard my fingers crack. But I honestly don't know which pan. I know it's definitely not going to be this one, because these pans are just so difficult to hit pan on. But between these two, I don't know which pan I'll have next, because it's either going to be in, I do have a pretty good dip on Summer, so if I can get myself to start using Eccentric, because I usually pair those together, maybe I'll have a pan on Summer, or because I use Dreamer as an inner corner highlight, maybe I could have pan on that. But I usually use like this brush. I don't really use like a pencil brush. I kind of use something a little bit bigger and slightly fluffier, so it's not like I'm getting concentrated use on it. But potentially I could have a pan on Dreamer, because it is fairly shallow in there, because I've repressed it so many times. I do also have a pretty good dip on the shade Volatile, and I have been wanting to recreate the look that I did in my, I think it was like my palette throwback video with the Lorac Fairy Tale Forest. I did a look with a like toppery, like ethereal pink shade on top of a gray, and I have a feeling that I could pretty much recreate it with Volatile and Wild Child on top. So I think I'm gonna try to do that, but then I also feel like I have a pretty good chance of hitting pan in this rose gold satin shade, because again, I don't think you can tell, but I do have a pretty good dip on that shade on that one side. But we'll just see in my next update, which who knows when that will be, because I seem to just be hitting, I don't want to jinx myself and like ruin the streak, but I seem to be hitting pans very early after my updates. So I'm just like filming things early all the time. But yeah, hopefully I'll have another pan by next update. I almost ended the video without talking about my face palette, which as always, there's not too much to see. However, since last update, or even like before last update, I had already finished my, I don't have it in front of me anymore, but my cream contour that I was panning in my 26 and 2026. And I had started using these two powders every day, which is my, as you can see, my bronzer and my contour. And I don't know if you can tell, but I am, especially in the bronzer, starting to get, yeah, I really don't think you can tell. Maybe if I take the pan out, I am starting to really get a dip in here. And it's actually more of like a crater than a dip. I think because maybe I just like put my brush in the exact same spot every single time. Maybe now that I've taken the pan out, it'll like move around in there. But it's like more of a crater than like a gradual dip. But I'm very excited about it because I really need to pan in this palette. And I really do like all the shades that I have in this face palette. I'm just really focusing on my creams. But if I have this palette in this project for 2 years straight and don't have a pan, I'm gonna lose it. But anyway, here is the shade that I've been pairing with that shade from my Pat McGrath palette. It's in my The Office Project pan that I'm doing on my Instagram. I don't know why I'm talking about it in this video here, but it's in front of me. But basically, it's the shade Team Captain from ColourPop. It is really dying on me. It's not that great anymore, which is why I just don't, it sounds like I'm losing my voice. I'm not. I'm just not good at talking. But that's why I'm not using it too often, maybe like twice a month maximum, because it's just not my favorite. I always feel like I have a bad makeup day when I use it. Part of it could be me because I'm usually rushing when I do my makeup. So maybe if I just slow down and like try to use this in a different way, I might like it better. But my goal is to hit pan on it. So, I mean, I do at least want to hit that goal, which means I'll be getting continued use in that first shade at least. And then as far as my blushes, you know, same old story. I've been using them a few times, but nothing crazy, not enough to like make a visual dip. Sorry to end on such a boring note. I didn't even use that highlighter in that palette even once. But yeah, that's all until next time. And until then, I hope you have an amazing day. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.